Welcome everybody back to the Bondsmen Present Destiny. This is episode 21 for the week of August 14th. I'm one of your hosts, Travis Vincent, joined tonight by three of my good friends, James Modar.
Hey, what's going on?
Ashley Hober.
Welcome back, everybody.
And the long-lost stranger, Josh Butler.
How's it going, everybody? Nice to be back.
So, lots of cool announcements have been coming out still. Bungie themselves have been putting out some new announcements. Game Informer is still covering things, as well as IGN and most of the other game sites. Lots of cool things we're finding out about. You know, kind of get to see like the picture getting filled in a little bit. Before we get into all of that, we're going to hit up what everybody's been up to this week. James?
Not much. Actually, outside of Destiny, what did I do? I don't know what I did. I got a new Mac Mini.
Nice.
So that's cool. Well, it's an old Mac Mini.
Well, yeah.
But it was new for me.
Nice.
That's about it.
Ashley?
Let's see. I did play a little bit of Batman. I don't remember if I said it on the podcast last week because it was just that recent after we had recorded. But I did beat the Harley Quinn DLC.
Nice.
Which is super awesome. But I also got a new tattoo. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you'll be able to see it.
Nice.
So, pretty happy about that.
It's pretty rad. You guys should check it out. Josh?
Slow week for me. I was telling the folks earlier, I play a lot of Heroes on the Storm quite often, and I actually did really well today.
Was that a joke?
It wasn't a joke.
You started laughing.
I was laughing because
Why'd you laugh?
what you guys can't see are invisible hands. What you guys can't see is we actually live edit the show notes to make sure that we're accurate for you guys, and they put a couple of little Easter eggs in there if you guys ever get the chance to look at them. They're probably gonna be gone by the time you guys see them.
I don't know if I'd call it an Easter egg. It's more just like trash talk.
Yeah.
But did really well. I had like a 6-game winning streak. I never play that well. Usually I win 2, lose 1 or 2. But it's cool. There's a lot more experienced gamers playing now than a couple months ago when it was still in beta.
Right, now it's officially live, so
Right.
I'd imagine
So-
it's going to gain a lot more traction. It's going to probably take off.
It's not as frustrating to play. I'm never frustrated to play with new people because we're able to kind of coach them. But now you go in and it seems like almost everybody knows what they're supposed to do.
Mm-hmm.
It's just a matter of are they doing it to the best of their ability, really. So
Would you say it's the best MOBA ever?
I think that's subjective. However, quick example, there's a guy who works at our store with us here. He hates MOBAs. He's like, I don't want to play any MOBAs. I hate MOBAs. Not my type of game. He started playing Heroes of the Storm, and he's all about it. It's still the only MOBA that he plays, but it was the MOBA that kind of changed his opinion on the entire genre series. So
Like
I would
me
say,
with FPS's playing Destiny.
yeah, exactly. I would say if you're remotely interested in it but didn't like all the other MOBAs you've played, give this one a shot. There's a lot of things in it that you'll like, probably.
It's definitely more approachable. It's easier to get started
than
things like Dota.
This is the worst. This is probably the worst thing to say, but I think it's PC Informer. I could correct us if I'm wrong at the Twitter. They say it's the gateway drug of MOBAs,
Yeah.
That makes
That's
sense.
pretty good.
I saw that. Yeah, I thought it was really funny. But yeah, it's the one to play if you haven't started playing the series or any MOBA. It's the one to start off with.
Did you do anything exciting this week, Travis?
Couple things. I got Super Mega Baseball Extra Innings because that came out for Xbox One.
Because it's all we got for Xbox.
It's that or RBI.
If you want to do baseball on Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really good. It's cartoony in the graphics, and like they got funny animations for all the different position players and batters and stuff and all that. But the actual game mechanics themselves are actually pretty deep in a lot of ways.
Nice.
The hitting has some structure to it, and much like you would get with the show. Same with the pitching to a certain extent. So it's actually really fun, and it does definitely scratch that baseball itch. I'd much rather be able to have a team full of the A's and all the official logos and stuff. But the fact that I can have a team mascot that's a platypus and be called the platypi is pretty good too. So
that's nice.
Yeah. And
it's the next best thing.
Yeah, right? And I finally got around to rolling a third character for Destiny.
Woo!
Right? I finally drank the Kool-Aid.
Nice.
Because
I haven't even done that yet.
I don't believe in alts. So,
but you have 2 alts now.
I do have 2 alts now.
And what are their levels?
3 and 5.
Woo!
Bonus points to which one you. So I have a hunter as my main, a Titan, and a Warlock. You guys knew I had the Warlock already, and I just rolled the Titan up last night essentially.
Okay.
Which one do you think is higher level?
The Titan.
The Titan is.
Yeah. Titan's hella fun. That's
Titan's
my name.
very fun to play.
It's all right. I mean, like, I still prefer the mobility of a hunter. Like, I know you guys, like, you especially, like, don't like the way the hunter jump works and all that.
Yeah.
But going from the hunter and then playing a warlock or a titan, like, the lack of mobility and traversal ability, comparatively, if you're really good at doing hunter jumps, gets to be a little frustrating for me at some points.
It's different.
Totally makes sense.
But, I went into the Crucible because I didn't feel like doing a lot of story, so I went in as level 2 Titan and just started killing guys, ruining some days, which apparently I drank the Kool-Aid about Crucible at some point as well.
You're just realizing
Whole
that.
lot of Kool-Aid drinking
This is
going
like
on.
the 4th episode in a row where you're like, oh, so I've been doing some Crucible.
Yeah.
I never play Crucible.
It's because I really want to do trials, and you can't just go into trials and succeed.
Yeah.
Like, you
One
have
simply
to
does not
practice.
try.
So,
Yeah.
I kind of have set up myself a little training regimes that I make sure that no matter what, every day I play at least 3 Crucible matches. Even if I don't play either Destiny, like, even if it's like, I get home at like midnight, I log in, do 3 matches, log off, but I make sure I do that just to kind of start getting the muscle memory back up and all that kind of stuff. So
For sure.
Good idea.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's what I did. Went in the Crucible with level 2 Titan.
So, are you running Striker or Defender first?
Defender first.
Okay.
So that way, if I decide to actually play this character, and not just have it as a mule of some sort, I can actually use it in raids and stuff. So,
Yeah.
I thought about doing the Striker first because I knew I was going to play some Crucible with it, but I was like, I'll use the bubble, which is funny because apparently people can't tell the difference between a level 2 character and a not level 2 character. So the minute you pop that bubble, they all just assume bad things are going to happen inside of it, and they run away. So it's very empowering being a level 4
like, my
Titan.
bubble doesn't do shit.
Yeah,
exactly.
It's pretty empowering being level 4 Titan where, like, you pop your bubble, you're like, ugh, and, like, you see, like, 4 dudes in their team start running at you, stop and turn around and walk away. I'm just like, you guys have no idea, do you? Like, I am just a sitting duck in here because I've got nothing.
That's pretty funny.
So that's what I did. Baseball sim, and then finally wrote up my 3rd character. I think I'll probably use, which I think we'll probably talk about this later, but I'll probably use the buff to take it to whatever level you will get for the actual,
Whatever you can get it to, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, and then, maybe someday I'll actually level my Warlock just so I can do space magic,
I'm sure you will at some point.
At some point. Big news, though. The only thing I actually care about talking about this week as far as Zur is concerned.
He's got Galahorn, guys.
We've been blessed.
James has
Sort
been
of.
blessed, more like
I mean,
it.
you guys all have it.
Yeah.
You've had it for a little while
Which
now.
is why I want to talk about it.
So I went ahead and bought it.
Of course. I think I'm going to buy it too, even though I already have one.
I don't know. I'm not super excited. I mean, at this point, sure, I'll use it, but it's not gonna make or break anything for me.
Well, no. I mean, it doesn't make or break anything for anybody, really.
Nah.
It lacks the excitement. Not because I bought it, but because we're so deep into year 1, and now we're going into year 2, where there's going to be no exotics. That it doesn't have the excitement factor that it would have had 4 or 5 months ago.
Yeah. But it's still pretty exciting for those like you, James.
I mean, if you don't have it, you should absolutely buy it, for
exactly.
sure. It's still the best heavy exotic you can get.
The
the
only
best heavy.
person...
Well, it's the best heavy you can get.
So I think the only person who should not buy this is Robert.
I was just going to say that.
Robert is going to buy it.
No, I'm just joking.
I talked to him today.
No, I know.
He is going to buy it just for the satisfaction of buying it and breaking it down again.
well, the
Which
only
would be
reason,
like his 4th or 5th Galahorn
Yeah.
broken down.
The only reason why I say that is because he was saying early this morning when he saw Galahorn was being sold, he was like, you guys better not have a debate on whether or not you should buy it on the podcast. So, Robert, you're the only one who shouldn't buy it.
I'm going to vote no, don't buy it. It's so overrated.
I feel like you would say something like that, though.
Me?
Yeah.
Why?
Well, just because it's been so long that we've been playing this game, and now you finally have the chance to get it, and you're just kind of like...
Well,
Plus, they're nerfing it, and we're going to be getting more new
not
stuff
even the
in like a
nerf,
month.
right? Even if they weren't nerfing it, the excitement isn't there because I have a truth, I have a hunger, I have so many weapons in my arsenal, and since I've got all my characters to 34, there's only 2 pieces of content that are at that high level, right?
Yeah.
Not counting Crucible, but 2 pieces of content that are at level or above for me, where that it'll really make a difference.
Right.
So,
Makes
I don't know.
sense.
Like, It's cool. I'm glad I have it. I will use it. I'll enjoy it. But if this were 4 or 5 months ago, I'd have been really excited.
Oh,
Yeah.
Because it would have made a huge difference to
And
my
now,
loadouts.
this is what's the other thing that's really great about this is that people cannot just kick other people out of their groups for not having a Gallahorn, because now everyone can have one.
They can still do that.
You should not still stop being so damn picky and kicking people for no apparent reason.
I'm sorry. I just refuse to believe that there's such a rampant issue that, like, a 10 million player base, that all these people are getting kicked from groups because they don't have Gallahorn. Like,
I think it's really lame too. But
I just don't believe it. I believe it happens, but it's got to be less than 1% of a percent. Like,
I've gone on Destiny LFG. It's pretty common. People go, oh, we're looking for a person for hard mode Vault, hard mode Crota, PoE, whatever, and it says must have Max Galley.
Sure.
And you'll see that a lot.
But they're not getting kicked from groups.
Well, no, they're just not getting selected into groups.
Yeah, but that's the way it works for all MMOs. On all external LFG sites for all other MMOs, they say gear score this, or required loadout this.
But what's the difference between somebody getting into a group, they go, oh, you don't have that, and then kicking, versus saying, no, you can't come?
Because it's a private group.
There's no... Well, LFG is all private
It's still
groups.
pretty similar.
Exactly. So you can choose what you want, which is why the game needs an end-game LFG where that doesn't happen.
Okay, but...
People could still get kicked. But
I know. I just don't think people are getting into the groups and getting kicked because they don't have Gallahorn. Maybe they're not making it into the group in the first place.
I don't think that's it. I think it's people are setting this line of you have to have this or you can't come.
Yeah,
which means those solo players who are like, I really want to get into this, I really want to get into a group, it's not impossible for them to find people. But it does kind of leave a bad taste in your mouth if you're looking for people and you go, here's a group. Oh, hey, I need this.
Here's the great thing about
get
LFG sites, right? So you look on there, there's always groups that say, need Max Galley.
Right.
Make your own post saying, need 2 more. Any loadout welcome.
Well, yeah.
Problem solved. Because guess what? There's a good chance that 2 of the people that are going to join up with you will probably have galleys anyway. So if you're looking at postings and there's they all say Gallahorn, make your own posting looking for a group.
Right. It's not impossible to find people.
Yeah.
But it is enough of an issue that it is creating sort of a negative experience.
Basically, the moral of the story is, as Will Wheaton says, don't be a dick.
Oh yeah, no, don't kick people. If somebody joins your group without a galley, don't kick them. Unless you've put up a posting that specifically says they need a galley. Then there's being dumb for joining your group when they ignored your request.
Well, I think it's dumb to require a specific weapon.
Yeah.
I agree.
You don't need that particular weapon just to be effective.
No, you don't.
In a single piece of content.
Yeah.
I've done all of the PvE content at the highest level.
Yeah.
And I didn't have that until today. So
and we went. Geez, it was for how long did we go as a clan being successful? And Travis, for the longest time, was the only person with a Gallahorn.
I was the one with the Gallahorn for
a very, very long time.
Yeah.
It's only probably within the last 3 months, 2 months that almost everybody has one now.
Yep.
And it's funny because I think
now everybody should. Assuming Brandon bought it.
I think I was the 3rd person in the clan to get a Gallahorn. Travis got it first.
Something like that.
Ashley got it second. I got it third.
I'm dead.
Mine is still not fully upgraded just because the way that I spec out, it's not absolutely necessary because of how we play as a team.
Right.
You're not always using it.
Yeah, and that's totally fine.
Which is kind of funny. I've had it for months and it's not.
Anyway, I think we can all agree what we're saying is that it's overrated.
Yeah, I mean
at this point in the game,
it's. I mean, I don't know if it's
but
overrated,
no, it's.
But I mean,
it's not required. It's not necessary. People who are making it necessary for their groups are just being dumb.
Yeah, they are. I mean, there should be specific rocket launchers that you should be requiring, in my opinion, to go along to certain content. To play because playing.
It's one thing to say, hey, you need a top 3 rocket,
right, exactly,
or a top 3 heavy, for sure.
Because it is a lot different playing with a random group of people than it is playing with people you know. You can get away with a lack of certain things in a group of people you know, because you can respect each, play and spec each other person's strength.
Right.
But with a random group of people where it's going to be, 3 to 6 random people from the internet that don't necessarily know each other.
Yeah.
I'm okay with being more selective, saying you need to have Gallahorn Truth or, Hunger
Or,
Crota.
hey, you need a 365 tracking.
I'd probably be more specific than that.
365 tracking, or 365 clusters and be good at aiming.
Yeah,
I think that is pretty reasonable.
I mean, I would if I was doing it myself, I would still list specific rocket launchers just because there's a variance between like blast radius.
Yeah,
and there's certain rocket launchers that I'm not going to want to do high level PvE content with people with if I don't know them as a player.
Right.
You're essentially just hedging your bet for success.
Yeah.
But you should open that window up to there's more than just Gjallarhorn, because you can do it with Truth, you can do it with Gjallarhorn,
right.
You can do it with Hunger, Crota. I mean, there's quite a few you can do it with. So
even like He's in Vengeance.
Yeah, through a 365 He's in Vengeance,
doesn't have tracking, so you gotta be able to aim. But
but the blast rate on that thing is maxed, and it's got clusters. So
it's a very good rocket.
There's 4 or 5 rocket launchers that I think are appropriate for most end level PvE content.
Yeah.
And
you're likely to have at least one of them if you're doing that content.
And if you're at the end level and you don't have one of those 4 rocket launchers, you need to go back and look for them. I mean, that's just realistically is what it is. Like, maybe you're somebody who really likes machine guns. That's cool, but I don't want you to have machine gun in certain content. I just don't.
Right. There's certain situations where even if you got a Thunderlord, it's not the appropriate thing to use. It's the best machine gun. Some might argue, but but it still may not be appropriate in all situations.
So I would say I agree with you guys where don't be a dick, don't kick people from your groups just because. But I disagree where I think that since it's a private, non-Bungie group making site, that it's okay to be selective about what you want to come with you. But if you're a really good player, then it's okay if they don't have maybe a Gjallarhorn. Now it doesn't matter because most people are gonna have Gjallarhorn. But I think sometimes that wasn't just necessary for Gjallarhorn. It was more because they're, especially for Skolas, when the burns used to still exist.
Yeah.
There's cheesy
for
ways
Skolas, it was because people couldn't beat Skolas without it.
Yeah, I don't want to say cheesing, but I mean, it was burning him down because of the burns.
It's solar burn, so we're just gonna burn him down and not have to worry about any of the actual mechanics,
right? Because
it was difficult and they couldn't quite do it.
Yeah, it's difficult and time consuming. Because even if you're even a good run at Skolas, it's not going to be 20 minutes. It's just not. So, so Gjallarhorn, go buy it.
Hell yeah.
Even though they're going to change it, they're going to nerf it a little bit, it's still going to be a great rocket launcher.
Definitely.
The tracking on it's insane, and the Wolfpack rounds are still
likely be the best rocket.
Yeah. And the Wolfpack rounds and PvP are amazing. So, it is my PvP rocket launcher. On to all the really cool things, though, that don't involve debate. Live streams are going to be scheduled, right, James?
Yeah, so they've announced their live stream schedule for the Taken King reveal. So just like they did with House of Wolves, they did live streams on Twitch. Again, it's going to be on Wednesdays. So again, I'll be at home watching them.
And live tweeting probably.
And probably live tweeting at the Bondsmen. So August 19th, we'll get a live stream, which will basically be transitioning into Year 2 and the new tower, and what to expect from all of that. This will be at 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time. If you don't live on the west coast of the United States, I'll leave you to figure out what time that is for you.
I appreciate the daylight time.
What?
You said 11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time.
Well, it's PDT.
Anyways.
Yeah, I know. I know what it is.
Says on the site, Travis.
I welcome that. I understand that. I like the way you said it,
I'm being accurate.
August 26th is actually going to be really cool because they're going to talk about the Dreadnought, along with some of the new story info and subclasses.
Yeah.
So that one's going to be really great. Also,
what time is that one?
11 a.m. Pacific Daylight Time, James.
Oh, okay, good. I was just curious.
Also, that's also a Wednesday, I believe, right? I think.
Yeah, they're all Wednesdays.
Yeah, they're all Wednesdays.
All of these are on Wednesdays.
So, if you work in an office, I'm sure you can have like a little mini window open and watch it while you're working, right?
Just if you're running Windows, you can just snap. So you snap your work on the left and your Twitch stream on the right, and you're fine.
Yeah,
I have soccer on Wednesdays. I'm gonna be running on the field with my phone, looking at James tweeting.
Strap it to your head so you can watch it.
Nice.
There you go. Well, what's happening in September, though?
September 2nd, the last one, they're going to talk about the Court of Oryx, which is, to the best of our knowledge, well, they've said it's a public event,
Yeah.
But this is one of those public events that is triggered by the players.
Yeah.
So we don't know what that means, so we'll find out. And they're going to talk more about patrols and stuff like that. So we'll be able to see what it's like to patrol the Dreadnought, how you start these public events, and how difficult they're going to be.
And probably see how you're going to get around without a sparrow.
So, yes.
Yeah.
So the thing of note here is the Court of Oryx we know is a public event that is described as essentially like an assortment of boss battles.
It's almost
So
like
it's kind of like a horde mode. I
Yeah.
know we talked about when PoE was coming that was kind of a horde mode, but it's turned out it's not really.
not quite.
Things are in phases, but it's not really a horde mode. This may be a more true horde mode experience, possibly, but it sounds like it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's more than just hordes of Thrall running at you. So, but
Well, they said boss battles.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
Thrall and
Whatever
then
else.
bigger things.
yeah,
Giant Thrall.
giant Thrall,
Giant
Mega
Thrall boss.
Thrall.
Oh
Oh,
my god. No. God, no.
could be fun.
That's the last thing I want to see flying in my face is a giant thrall. Just, no.
Thrall with wings.
Fuck, no. No.
Yeah, it'd be pretty
I don't think
crazy.
that's the sound they would make,
That's what I make.
but maybe who knows?
So make sure you check out the live streams. If you guys didn't check out the House of Wolves live streams, they actually do a pretty cool job of like showing you enough to make you interested, but not showing too much to kind of ruin the surprise. So if you're hesitant to watch it because you're like, oh, I don't want any spoilers, they do a pretty good job of not spoiling too much, just kind of giving you a little taste. But at the same time, like it kind of gets your excitement level up a little bit, and it answers some of the questions, especially where like we're not quite sure how something's going to work. Like Ash pointed out, there's no sparrows on the Dreadnought, so is it just going to be running around and like jumping on things, or is there like
Portals.
portals, or like is there like a tram you get on that takes you
Right.
down to like downtown Disney? So
Maybe you ride the Giant Thrall.
oh, there you
Oh,
go. Yep.
shut up. No.
Yeah.
Or, this is also a really great opportunity for your friends who have kind of fallen out of Destiny or had that kind of, oh, I've gotten burnt out. Maybe that, get them together and watch the live streams. Try and get them to watch that. Maybe that spark will light up again and they'll be interested and want to play when the new expansion comes out. So that's a good place
Yeah.
to start.
Yeah.
And they have, members of the community and the player base that will come in and do this content with them. So it's pretty cool. If you follow people on Twitch, you may see some of your favorite Twitch streamers on there.
Yeah, like when they did House of Wolves, they had Triple Wreck, they had Professor Broman,
Yeah.
and they had King Athalion
Exactly.
do the stream. So.
Oh, actually, I just noticed that for the Court of Oryx, they'll have Laced Up Lauren.
Oh, nice.
So-
She's pretty cool.
Yeah. And then Mr. Fruit for the Strike the Dreadnought.
Oh, he's got some really, really funny trials videos.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
those pretty good.
Oh,
So
and then
definitely
for
tune
the,
in at the very least to see them.
Yeah.
Oh, and then for the first one on August 19th is Cosmo.
Yeah, Cosmo's going to be there. So it'll be
Oh,
cool.
yeah.
We'll get to see Cosmo a little more now that he's new in the, working for Bungie.
Officially a community manager for Destiny now, supposed to be
Exactly.
a moderator. So it's going to be really good. I mean, make sure you check out the streams, guys. They're always really awesome. They also make them available offline as well. So if you missed the
Yes.
actual live stream, Bungie does make them available on their YouTube channel, so you can go check them out there. Which means that if you don't actually have time to sit down and watch a full hour, you can kind of skip through bits that you don't really care about, and kind of just check out the little pieces here and there you like. It doesn't say it on here. I imagine that they'll do at least Crucible somewhere with the new maps. Maybe not.
None of these streams include Crucible.
So, I mean, maybe they're just completely leaving the new Crucible modes kind of to a surprise. I mean, they have done
That
some
makes
reveals.
sense because then everyone who goes into it the first time won't be prepared for it.
Well, the
by
final
watching
stream
people.
is the second. Well, the final one that they've announced is the second.
Yeah.
Right.
And the game doesn't launch till the 15th.
Yeah,
Yes.
15th.
So that there is a Wednesday in between that
Yeah.
they could potentially have another stream, and maybe they're just waiting to announce it.
Could be.
But maybe they're not going to.
They have focused pretty heavily on the new Crucible modes and E3 and then Gamescom.
They have
and-
shown that stuff
So
off,
there's been
Yeah.
a pretty large amount of publicity on that. So maybe they just feel that's enough and they don't need to focus on that because the rest of the stuff has been really, really tiny little snippets here and there about it. So pretty excited to watch these streams. Like we said, James will be live tweeting them. kind of hitting all the high points. If you can't watch them while they're going on, you can check out what James is saying on Twitter because he's going to kind of give you the highlights, the play-by-play.
Speaking of the Bungie stream is twitch.tv/Bungie.
Yep.
Pretty simple. We do have a link in the show notes. There's also a link on the Bungie Weekly Update.
Also, hopefully they'll start explaining a little more about the way levels are going to work. As far as like, is it just going to be, hey, all your armor, you've attained 34, and so when you log in, you're 34. Is it going to be like, put on whatever armor you want to be your level at, and then go to this kiosk, and then that's the level you are?
Yeah, they haven't specifically said if you're not wearing your max level armor, will you be max level? But the way they talk about it, it sounds like you will be the highest level that character has attained.
Yeah, and that's what I'm assuming as well.
But we'll test it.
Real quick, kind of PSA is be aware of shady characters, guys.
Yes.
So Bungie's kind of hitting cheaters pretty hard right now, especially in Crucible and Trials of Osiris. So don't get caught up in that. And even if you're not cheating, if you're on a team with two guys that are cheating, there's a chance you might get swept up in the ban or the restrictions that get placed on them just because you're there on the team and you're benefiting from their cheating. So if someone offers you, hey, I'll get you a 9-0 Trials run, be a little wary of that because even the really good players don't go 9-0 all the time. So just, don't do it. And if you are a cheater, you should just not do that at all. Actually, you should just stop playing Destiny completely.
No, keep doing it and get yourself banned.
Okay.
That way we don't have to worry about you coming back in a few months.
Fair enough.
There you go.
All right. Patch time, guys.
It's not a very exciting patch.
It's really not. I try to make it exciting. I thought maybe if I had like a punchy intro, we're like, yeah, patch time. That it kind of
sorry, just kind of like
just
deflated.
I mean, the first thing we already talked about, Husk of the Pit is officially back. We talked about.
Yep.
I think it was last week we talked about that they were going to fix this. It's 150% increase to the drop rate, which sounds like a lot until you think about how many Blade of Crota guys there are on Earth.
Yeah.
Right now,
and I think it's one. Maybe
there's
a couple of places where you can see them, but
there's a few in that mission.
There are not a lot.
strike that you can do that will get you to the Blades of Crota, since they're not spawning in the Cosmodrome anymore or on the moon.
There's
a mission. You can do the first
but they
Dark
don't
mission.
spawn, I think, on patrol.
No,
No,
they
they
do
do
not. There's
not.
no spawning on
So-
patrol. You have to do
now
the missions.
because now that House of Wolves is out, the wolves are roaming. So
Yeah, so they beefed it by 150%, but that's you're not going to be raining Husk of the Pit. So
It's my understanding that before it had the same chance to drop as a legendary engram did. So that kind of gives you an idea of how often it dropped. I mean, for me, I had a little different experience. I'm one of those people that I think I
I
had
barely get them.
8 or 9 of them drop for me. And then I know for you guys, I think you had 1 or 2. And
I had 2.
And Ashley has not yet had 1 drop. So, and now
I have a
Josh.
Crux of Crota, though.
Yeah, I know, right?
I one-upped you guys on that, but I don't have a Husk of the Pit.
It's useless for you.
Yeah.
I still saved it, just in case.
So anybody that's, they want to chase down Necrochasm eventually, this is the start of it. So
Queue up Fist of Crota.
yeah, queue up Fist of Crota.
That's the one.
Go, kill Swordbearer, run around, die, go back, kill Swordbearer, run around, die, go back, kill Swordbearer, repeat. Yeah, this is not a very exciting patch. Yeah, try and do something about it, but I can't.
It's again, that balloon is
There is
deflated.
one exciting thing in the patch.
There is one.
And this is not it. Minor
No.
Crucible tweaks. They changed some ammo drops for which game type was it?
Inferno.
For Inferno.
Was it
Yeah.
Inferno?
Yeah, Inferno.
Yeah.
Come on, Josh should know. He's
So-
a PvP guy, right?
Sort of
They
Inferno.
made some minor tweaks there. Whoop-de-doo. Check out the weekly update if you want more details.
Long of the short for PvP, they added some of the maps in rotation. So some of the maps that weren't getting as much love are going to get a little bit more love.
Yeah.
And then they adjusted some of the ammo drops on Inferno.
Yeah, maybe I won't get freaking Rustlands 3 times in a row.
You may have noticed that the tower's a little different. Tess Everest, your special orders person, is not there.
Apparently, she's on vacation, guys.
And there's a fancy new kiosk to go see instead of her.
Yeah. So if you go to the Tower North, near the Guardian Outfitter, Eva Levante, there's a little kiosk there where you can get your special orders.
I.e. the lady that sells all the shaders and emblems.
Yes.
So.
We want Tess. We want Tess.
I was really curious because it looks like the shop, the space in between Tess Everest and the postmaster.
Yeah.
Looks like it's changed a bit too.
A little
Yes.
bit.
It now looks like kind of a shop that's under new ownership. It's closed up and like it's going to have this grand reopening. So I'm curious what's going to happen there.
Yeah.
But we'll find out on one of those live streams.
Geek Point, the actual little terminal they put in for you to go get your special orders is actually really, really cool looking. I sat there for a few minutes, like really looking at it. It's a really, really cool little piece of design. It actually looks a little out of place because it looks very, very high technology.
Yeah.
Compared to a lot of what the rest of the tower looks like. But I imagine that kind of goes in with some of the changes that are going to be happening with the weapon foundry. So I think that once we start seeing some of these new weapon foundries, like, and kind of showing that time is progressing and like technology is kind of starting to come back to like its crazy, golden age kind of standard in a way. I think it'll fit in a little more. But right now, especially where the placement it is in the tower, which that part of the tower is kind of like a little back alley.
Yeah.
And you got this fancy looking like terminal to go to.
It's weird.
It's a little weird, but it is really cool, really, really well designed. And Josh over there like trying to break things. So go check it out. Even if you don't have any special orders, go check out the terminal because, like I said, it's a really cool little piece of art asset. So,
little Good Samaritan thing I want to talk about. Actually, I did it, but it was interesting. So I was in the tower. I was doing some stuff,
Good Samaritan.
and there were like 5 guardians at the special orders place where she normally is, and they were all like running around, ducking. Like they seemed confused.
yeah.
So I got near them and I just started pointing at them. And eventually they all looked at me and I started backing up. And like 1 or 2 of them followed me, and so I started pointing again. And they all looked at me and I backed up more. Eventually I got them all following me and I backed all the way to the kiosk, at which point they all like stood next to it and they were obviously like looking through stuff. So
That's funny.
You're welcome, guys. Apparently they did not know.
Here.
Yeah, it was pretty fun.
That's all funny. Did you take a video?
No.
I
wish you could like conga line, like dance and
Oh my
walk,
God.
because then it would have been the best.
Yeah, that would have been pretty good.
But it was pretty awesome that I kind of got everybody's attention and showed them where to go, because they definitely seemed puzzled.
Yeah. I mean, if you didn't know, you just don't know. Like,
Right.
And that terminal, like, if you don't spend a lot of time in that part of that tower, you may not realize that that's the new terminal. 'Cause I ran past it the first time.
Yeah.
Because I knew the area it was supposed to be in. I ran past it and I turned around. I was like, oh, there it is.
Yeah.
So while it looks out of place, when you really look at it, it doesn't stand out.
Well, when they said that Tess was gone, they said, "Oh, just check out the kiosk near Eva Levante and Tower North."
Yeah.
And I bet if you polled everybody who plays Destiny, they'd go, "Who's Eva Levante?"
I think I even go, where's Tower North at?
Probably.
Yeah. Where's Tower North and who's Eva Levante?
Yeah.
I don't know why they didn't just say the Guardian Outfitter,
I don't know, man.
or even
Maybe
put like
they
a
just
map
wanted
up.
people to start learning the names of some people. Or maybe that's just, hey, a little quest for you guys to try and look for the shit that you want.
They
So-
usually refer to people in the tower and reef by their names, not
Yeah.
by what they are.
They do.
And that does confuse some people who don't pay attention to that stuff.
For some people, they don't like. Up until now, you've been able to play Destiny and not give a crap about the story or any of the characters and just run around and shoot things,
Right.
And get loots. That's obviously going to change, we hope, in Taken King
Very,
based
yeah.
on what they've talked about.
Very
But I think
much
for
so.
a large player base, like none of these NPCs are memorable in any way, shape, or form because 1, they don't really say a lot, and 2, like maybe the last time you went and see the Garden Outfielder, you were like level like 10. Like looked at all the cool things you thought you might buy in the future, and
Right.
then you never went back because you got all those cool drops.
Right.
So-
Or you may have never talked to her.
Yeah, you may have
Yeah.
never talked to her at all. You may the only reason you may go over there maybe been to turn in quests for storyline stuff and to see Zero when he's there.
Yeah. I will say I did like sort of nerd rage on my own a little bit because I was running around YouTube and I found this guy who did like this 10-minute rant about why nobody should buy the Taken King. Of course, this rant was over Destiny footage, so he's playing the game. And in one of the things he said, he talks about the special edition and how stupid it is. And he's reading off the things you get. And he says, this Treasure Island book with notes from Cade 6. And he goes on this rant about nobody knows who Cade 6 is. How could we possibly know because there's no story? And I thought it was the most hilarious thing because
Yeah.
Cade 6 is a freaking Vanguard.
Yep.
And it's almost impossible to not know who he is because in the game, multiple times, you have to go into that room
Yep.
and see these people.
And if you play a hunter, then you've talked to Cade 6.
And even if you haven't,
Yeah.
you've gone into this room and you're like, oh, I'm supposed to talk to this person. Who are these other two people at
Yeah.
this table? And this guy, he just kind of ranted about all this stuff, and it kind of annoyed me. So
Yeah, I that's my thing is that not going to tell anybody not to buy a game they enjoy playing because I don't like something about it.
well, that's stupid, right? Like,
know,
if you find value in it, you find value in
Yeah.
it, and that's all there is to it. Nobody can tell you you're wrong because it's subjective.
And while I'm not going to buy the physical collector's edition, I do think that the Treasure Island book with Cade 6 notes in it's actually a really cool idea personally. So
I really like that idea. I didn't get the physical collector's edition, but I really wish I had that. So anyway, I was annoyed at that. But there's a lot of YouTube videos out there like that.
yeah, there are.
Well,
I mean, it's an easy subject to draw in viewers. So
It is. But let's kind of amp it back up again and talk about the exciting part of this patch.
Yes.
I like everyone was silent for a moment there, like, what? So if you guys participated in the Nepal Relief Fund, your shaders and emblems are now going out.
Check your email.
You got to check. So they're sending all that out right now. I think that's going to be happening over the next couple of, week or so, or 2 weeks.
Yeah.
So if you haven't got it yet, don't worry. It's coming. It's on its way. They're distributing. It was first come, first serve, right?
Yeah.
I believe so. So you should be getting a code in your email.
Yep.
And then you'll enter that, and then basically you'll get your shader through the postmaster.
Yep.
There you go, guys.
Sorry, I forgot. I didn't do the shirt because I do other community things.
Yeah,
So
That's
cool.
exciting
thing is oh wait, I didn't get the shirt, so that's not exciting to me. But for you guys, it's definitely exciting.
It's the only exciting thing in this in the patch notes.
Josh, you got a shirt, right?
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have to take a Bondsman photo. We'll have Travis take it of us.
Yeah.
Since he didn't buy the shirt.
And I don't like being photos anyway.
Well, you can put your thumb up in the side of the photo so that you're kind of there.
What you guys don't actually know is Travis is actually a ghost. He's like a ghost who floats around.
I thought you were just gonna say he's really ugly.
No, he's a ghost.
I was like, man, that's
he was
harsh.
a human, and then we turned him into a ghost.
Well, I mean, everybody at my work is convinced I'm an android, so there's that.
There we go.
He's a ghost android. That was lame. I'm sorry. Both of you everybody looked at me.
I don't
like,
even know. I don't know if that's the worst thing ever or the best thing ever.
You guys could hear our eyes. On
I'll give you a hint. It's not the best thing ever.
I gotcha. Well, speaking of not quite the best thing ever.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. My next show note here says check out the movie of the week. Except I'm not going to tell you that. I'm going to tell you to check out the runner-up of the week.
Yes.
Because it's a way better movie than the movie of the week. So go look at that instead.
Well, give credit to the people who made the movie of the week.
No.
Well, okay, I want to say
they did. They put in a lot of work.
They put in a lot of work to do it, and
I think
we don't want to
cool.
bash it. We just all happen to prefer the runner-up.
Yeah.
We liked it more.
So the first video is basically a dance-off, and they animated their own cabal to go in there and break dance.
Yeah.
Which I thought was very clever and it's very difficult to animate that.
Yeah.
So impressive. However, I found the runner-up more entertaining, especially with the opening where he is playing Crucible as a Titan and does his striker ability
Fist of
and
Havoc. Yeah. He does the Fist
of Havoc to his death.
Yeah, that was great.
He does that thing that everybody who's played a striker has done, probably early on, is they try to jump over a gap and Fist of Havoc down onto the other side of the gap and completely misjudge it.
And it's so funny. So that one was actually more entertaining to me. And I really, really enjoyed it just because everyone has those moments where they're like, did that just happen?
Yeah.
Or I can't believe I did that. One of my favorite things was his door issues.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, this poor guy.
I've had that happen before.
Really?
Yeah.
I've only had it happen once.
Yeah.
I've had that happen.
Yeah, that was good.
The one after that's pretty good too. The Peggle. Have you
Oh,
guys
the Peggle was good too. Actually, yeah.
Peggle one's pretty interesting. I really like Peggle, so I was like,
I thought of you
too.
when I saw it. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, James.
I really like Peggle too. So when I saw it, I was like, oh, that's pretty funny. Josh is watching the one we were recommending before right now, and he's cracking up.
Praise the sun.
Praise the sun.
That was really cool.
So yeah, the movie of the week, the movie of the week that won, I think it's a very solid technical achievement.
Yes,
it doesn't do a lot for me personally. Maybe it does for you. But the biggest thing is that all three of the movies that are highlighted this week are cool. I simply prefer the
four. There's four.
Oh, it's 4 movies this week. There isn't,
Yeah, I'm like, wait a second. There's one more.
The last one's like the Nova Bomb.
Yeah, the
I
Nova
thought that
Bomb
one was
montage,
pretty cool,
which is pretty good.
Yeah,
especially if you play a warlock, you're gonna really enjoy this because it's just like a montage of Nova bombs, and I think it's so badass.
Nova bombs just lend themselves so well to a montage because they are just awesome.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, it's similar to Fist of Havoc. It's just raw power, smashing, destroying, and it's just awesome to see.
I do hate that Warlocks get the coolest named PvP medal though.
What's
Which
that?
one?
Space Magic.
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That's a PvP medal you get when you kill
Right.
3 dudes with your Nova Bomb. So, I will give Warlocks credit that the fact that
Well,
you can get a medal
Warlocks
called
use space magic.
That's
That's
pretty rad.
legitimately what they are.
I mean, way the gun's cool and all, but space magic, man.
Yeah.
So now I just need a hunter that can throw a Nova Bomb in my life to be complete. So
Shoot a Nova Bomb out of like a rocket launcher sized golden gun.
right.
Golden
Oh my
cannon.
God.
Christ.
I'm like, oh
the
my
upgrade
god.
of Golden Gun.
Uh,
One day when this game has 200 levels, that'll be the
that would be
hunter ability.
epic.
Oh,
You get a
geez.
special
Golden
helmet.
cannon.
It's like, here's your golden cannon.
No,
It burns everything.
It'd be special arms and just be rocket launchers mounted on the shoulders.
Oh god.
That's pretty cool.
So make sure you check out all the movies of the week. We all here think those are really awesome. Ashley especially, like
I really love them.
She loves them all. But we think they're all usually pretty good. I just happen to really like the montage.
That one's good.
Because it's just so funny. Because
Yeah,
everything that's
it's
going
really
on,
fun.
you're just like, oh yeah, I've done that. Yep, done that. Yep, done that. All right. So, test dummies. What do you guys think about test dummies?
So this is something that you guys have been wanting to talk about for a couple of weeks now. Now that Josh is back on the podcast, now you guys can really talk about it in depth.
Well, I know Travis and I have talked about it at length.
Yeah.
Well, off air.
So
but-
I'm curious to hear actually Josh's take on it.
So you guys are wanting something in the game that allows you to test your weapons.
We want a firing range.
Yeah.
Okay.
We want a firing range where you can, you get your static numbers that are coming up, right? And it has marked out on the ground. It has distances that are applicable in game, and you can take that new shotgun or that new sniper rifle or that new whatever, and you can walk back distances with it and get a better feel for what the actual damage ranges are for those different weapons, as opposed to having to run around and just kind of get a feel for it. You
Right.
know, like
Because you can't test that stuff in Crucible.
No.
Right.
And kind of in PvE, but
It's a little bit
it's
different.
still a pain because
Yeah.
you're dealing with different level enemies and
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
Basically, we want the Street Fighter 4, Street Fighter 5 equivalent of training mode, where in training mode, you get to see how far you knocked somebody back, what were the stats at range for the damage that you're doing,
Yep.
so that we actually can build a little bit more accurate of a loadout, because in PvP, depending on how your team runs, I know if you run as a team, you probably are running a specific strat, like you do in PvE when you're running your dungeons. And it would be nice to know, like at this range or on this map, there's this hallway and that hallway that will lend me to this weapon. That's how I'm going to run this map.
Right.
But we don't really have an accurate way of testing that. There's a lot of people on the forums who say, this gun does this and this gun does that, but there's no definitive way of us to really to test the things that they tell us exist.
And the other thing are the perks on the different weapons.
Yes.
Yeah. And
'Cause
how they affect
Yeah.
range.
They make
and,
a huge
and
difference.
impact and all
Or
that.
sometimes they don't make a huge difference and you thought they did.
Right.
So, I mean, just being able to go someplace in a tower where you can go in a little room and it's just got, something you can shoot at that's going to tell you how much damage you're doing. And you can decide, like, okay, cool. So if I go ADS with this shotgun or this, whatever, we'll use a shotgun. So if I go ADS with a shotgun and I have rangefinder on, how much more range do I get out of that as opposed to if I'm not ADS with the same shotgun?
Here's a great example. There's auto rifles sometimes have the perk that going ADS slows down your rate of fire, but increases impact. It would be nice to see what damage difference that makes, because there are some shotguns where you choose that perk or something else.
Yeah.
Right.
Or not shotguns, auto rifles. And it'd be nice to know, like, what am I really? Where's the real trade-off here?
Yeah, because usually the two options you have are bonus accuracy when firing from the hip, or when ADS this weapon fires slower but does more impact.
What is that?
I don't remember the name off the top of my head, but that's a great example.
It's a Crota auto rifle, I believe.
Suros has that as well.
Suros has it as well.
Suros has it, but you don't have to choose it.
No.
It's just part of it.
Yeah. The not Light of the Abyss, not Abyss Defiant.
It is Abyss Defiant.
It is Defiant.
It's Abyss Defiant. It's the solar auto rifle.
And
you choose one of those two perks.
Hipfire or ADS.
And it'd be nice to know which one really is objectively better.
Yeah.
Or works best
for your play style.
Right.
Yeah.
Because sometimes giving up one perk isn't as rewarding or as beneficial to your gameplay as the other, and really you don't have any way of testing that. So I agree that this would definitely help, and I think it would also kind of poke fun at all the people who are trying to make those videos on like, this gun does this gun does that, because some of them might be inaccurate.
Yeah, people try to do comparisons, and they do their best.
They do, and
but
it's hard.
It's not quite a scientific process because you're not in a controlled environment.
Yeah, and there you can get some testing done in PvP where if you know people on the other team, you can hit them up and you can kind of go off to a little side area and do those tests. But
right.
It's still not as accurate as it would be if you could just go to a static range. It's going to have distances marked out on the ground for you, and you can see, which one's really going to be better.
Right.
Because the other thing is that with the way the stat ranges work on the weapons, it's difficult to tell what the actual range or the actual impact or the actual firing rate or stability is going to be on some weapons.
Right.
Because they're not the same. So our shotgun that has really good range, that range bar, even if it's the same as it is on like a pulse rifle.
Right. If you have like a 75% on your range bar for a shotgun versus a pulse rifle,
it's not
they don't have the same range.
So you're having to compare shotguns to shotguns, which is fine, but you don't have a good, I don't want to say scientific, empirical way of determining, what those stats really are in game. I don't know if that's just because Bungie doesn't necessarily want people to know, like, they're really specific, like, hey, at this many frames distance from this target, you were going to do this damage, or if they want it to be more fluid, like, kind of a feel of the weapon versus the actual...
They don't even have to give us that. For the little firing range, right? I would be okay with the ground not being marked with like lines, but like a gradient.
Yeah, that's fine.
So be like, oh, I'm in the gray area, and it's doing this amount of damage. But as I get closer to the black area, I'm doing this much damage, right? And then when I'm in deep black, this is what it's doing versus when I'm in gray or white or whatever. So that way you can't just go, oh, this many ticks away is this.
Yeah.
It leaves a little bit of mystery there. You're still you're not getting the exact answers. You don't know exactly where short range changes to medium range changes to long range, but you'd get a better feel than you do in game.
Yeah, you'd get a way better feel. And I think I'm not like a conspiracy theorist kind of in a way, but like I'm not phrase that. I'm not thinking about this in a conspiracy kind of way, but I think that the more information you have about the way the weapons handle, if you can take two different weapons, and you get this sometimes with different weapons where even though one says it has more impact or more range than another weapon, the other one that technically has lower values ends up being longer range or has slightly more impact.
It's because the other perks and stuff and the way they work together, it gives you a result that you don't expect necessarily.
And it can be hard to figure out, like if unless you go out there and just try to do testing on them, like, hey, I'm going to run 5 crucible matches with this gun. They're going to run 5 crucible matches with this gun, and see which one I'm actually getting better ranges out of, better impact out of. You can't really tell. You kind of guess, like, oh, cool, it has these perks. They do this kind of thing. How is that really going to affect?
Like a perk that says, let's say, thinking about machine guns, right? There is a perk that says, literally, this weapon is more stable.
Yeah.
That's just what it is. You click that perk and it's more stable. There's other perks that say the longer it's fired, the more stable it becomes, essentially. How stable does it get?
Yeah.
Right?
If you go through a whole mag with the trigger held
compared
down,
to this is more stable, are they the same?
Yeah.
Do they essentially go to the same stability, or does the gaining more stability as you fire, does it start lower than the other one and slowly ramp up and eventually go higher than the other one?
Are you trading off, having low stability initially to be able to have way higher stability at the end of the firing round?
Right.
Or, is it eventually just going to get to the same place? If it goes to the same place, you might as well just take the stability perk and forget about the other one. So
now that particular perk you can test without an enemy.
Yeah. Because you can just shoot at a wall.
But when it comes to your impact stats and stuff like that, and you're looking at damage fall off, you need like a firing range.
Yeah. Because it's very, very difficult. Because obviously damage in PvE doesn't translate to PvP and vice versa. So
correct. It's
very difficult to kind of figure out without playing a lot of one or the other how these weapons are really going to handle. Which is why those guys that do weapons reviews, you're usually seeing cuts of them having done 20 or 30 or 40 PvP matches with that weapon.
Yeah.
Because you have to do that many just to start getting a semi-accurate feel for the damage of the weapon and the range and all that stuff. So I think it's something that the game needs, and in my opinion, it's a little bit of an oversight because there are other MMO-esque games out there that give you that kind of mechanic to work with. And plus, it'd just be nice to where, if you get a new weapon, and especially if let's say you always use auto rifles, and now you're gonna start using hand cannons. Just to be able to sit there and take that weapon to a firing range in the game and just, blow through, 100 or 200 rounds with that weapon before taking it out to, a match would be really useful to get the feel of the recoil of the weapon and how, the handling, transition from one target to another target. Mm-hmm. I think that it makes transition into PvP for players that necessarily don't always enjoy PvP or they don't do a lot of PvP. It can make that a less intense experience. And also, for just less experienced players across the board that don't play a lot of FPSs, just having a place you can go that's safe, that you don't have to worry about getting damaged, that you can just kind of feel out what do you like better, So
yeah, something that I keep thinking about is, Destiny. The developers talk a lot about how they want you to be able to choose the weapon that best suits your playing style, and not to necessarily make that one gun or that other gun the gun that everybody has to run. And I think basically I think part of that is knowing your weapon, right? Knowing how to play with your gun. When I think about when they do the weaponry specs, they talk percentages. Oh, we buff this such and such percent. Well, percents are relative, right? So we know that, if you buff something 100%, it's now twice as strong as it was before. But at the same time, I know how I play as an individual. I think everybody kind of understands how they play as an individual in terms of where they like to be ranged. And if I could simulate where I like to be ranged in most PvP, PvE encounters with an actual stat pool, I could say, okay, well, this is how I like to play. What guns maximize or complement that style of play? Right. It sounds like a lot. I think some people are probably listening to us now and are thinking, that's kind of a lot to ask for. But at the same time, at the end of the day, Destiny has always been about, the individual. Play the game the way you want to play. And this is a tool that I think helps that.
Yeah, it really enables that.
It's a lot more to ask a player to go, hey, go play 4 or 5 rounds of Crucible with this weapon, and then decide you don't like it.
Well, because chances are...
And it doesn't work for your play style. And then either change your play style or change your weapon. And then play 4 or 5 more Crucible rounds. Yep. And then make another decision. But if you could pop into the range for an hour and a half, you could have your decisions made for you really quickly.
I think a good example would be the Red Death. I had the Red Death before they did the initial respecking of guns.
Yeah.
And I didn't like that type of gun. I liked hand cannons and I liked auto rifles. They're just aesthetically, like Travis was saying, how they shot, how they handled was what I liked more so than the damage. I was like, okay, I like the recoil on these guns. I like the fire rate. I can get used to it. It's almost like I have a feel for it per se. Mm-hmm. But because of the respecking of weapons, I then had to pick the guns based upon the guns that were most effective in PvP, and that's kind of counter to what Destiny wanted initially, is for you to be effective with the gun that you have or the gun that you like. I now run a lot of guns that, to be honest, I really don't care for, but they're what's effective. And that's kind of counter to their mission statement almost.
Yeah. They should give us this tool so that we can find out which weapons are effective at which ranges so we can find the weapons that suit our play style.
Yeah.
Since they're going to be rebalancing the weapons to make that feasible.
Yeah.
Also, if like for example, it might be really cool to also have those little test dummies available for testing out your supers and seeing where your range is. Like I right now am, as playing my warlock, I have the hardest time aiming my Nova Bomb properly.
Oh yeah.
And I would really like to be able to aim, like figure out the aim properly for it and say, okay, if I stand here, this far away, that's how far it's going to go. Because I always think like, oh, I think I'm going to hit them. It either lands like right in front of the enemies that I'm trying to hit and I miss them, or it goes behind them, or it's just frustrating because I'm like, I just wasted that on nothing.
Yeah.
So
have a room you could go into where your super just automatically, it just always popped and you could just play around the super and get a feel for it would be really, really nice. This conversation kind of leads into something that James and I have talked a lot about, is that we feel that the stat categories should be unified. And what we mean by that is that, so when you look at stability, right, all guns use the same stability range, so 0 to 100. And so when you look at a gun that has super high stability, and you look at a gun that has really low stability, it's all in the same range of stability. So not the stability for that gun type.
Right.
But, if I look at a shotgun that has 25% stability, and I look at a handgun that has 25% stability, that stability is actually the same on both of those weapons. Same with range. So if you look at a gun that has, 80% range, you look at, it's a scout rifle, and you look at a handgun that has 80% range, right? Those ranges should be equivalent. So, and if, with the way the tuning the weapons, then, I understand it would make it harder because then they'd have to be always readjusting the, those stat bars for guns. But I think it would make it easier to really decide, like, what gun you really want for the situation, but also to make sure that guns are working in their intended specs. So you don't get a gun that all of a sudden turns into a sniper rifle, or a gun that's supposed to be like, a super long range gun that's doing like, only firing like medium distance, even though it's not supposed to. That's something I'd like to see too, is that unified stats to where all guns are using the same scale, and that when you look at a bar, so a shotgun, the range on a shotgun is never going to be halfway up the bar.
Right.
It just doesn't do that. It can be like 10% of the bar. I'd like to see that as well. That may come about, it may not, but I think it'd make it easier to determine when weapons are working in their intended function. So,
I wonder where rockets would land on that.
What I think about the rockets is that technically rockets will just go.
Right.
Like
rockets technically have forever range.
Yeah.
But right, because every rocket has forever range. It'll go until it hits something.
Yeah. Or if it has proximity until it gets close enough to.
You could remove the range stat completely.
They don't have range. They have velocity and they have blast.
That's right.
Radius.
They don't have it on there.
They have velocity and blast radius.
That's right.
So I mean, I think rocket launchers are their own thing because also they have two stats that don't exist anywhere else.
Right. They don't have damage fall off.
Right. They don't have damage fall off, and they don't have range. They have velocity and they have blast radius. So they don't have impact. Right. They have impact or range. They have velocity and blast radius. So I think for them it works fine because they were different than all the other ones. Yeah. So the two primary stats that really affect the way that they work are already separate. So when
That's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah. When you look at two rocket launchers, you're really looking at an apple to an apple, and not like an apple to kind of an apple.
Right.
So
crab apple.
Yeah. So that's something that we've kind of been tossing around here at the Bondsmen, is that we really want a firing range to be able to go through and test out all these new weapons we get, and really kind of get a feel for how the perks are really working on the weapons, so we can make better decisions about, okay, cool, well, this perk the community loves, but it doesn't really work for my play style, but there's this other perk that no one cares about, but maybe that works better for me. Having a test range would make that way easier to figure out without having to, one, go play a ton of Crucible to figure that out, and two, waste a lot of motes of light and weapon parts trying to reroll things for perks that may end up not being in your playstyle, even though they're always they're recommended by a large amount of people. On to happy things. This is kind of Ashley's little baby child, little rugrat for the show. So we're going to be looking at doing, every week, Ashley's going to be doing a Guardian Spotlight for us. So something she's gone out onto the wilds of the internet and found something cool for us to talk about.
Yeah, so what's really cool is I found a video by this guy's site. His is called Cosplay Emerald. he actually does a tutorial on how to make your own ghost.
Which sounds absolutely fucking rad.
It's really cool. He makes his out of paper. I can imagine that if you got like a more heavy poundage paper, it would be more solid and probably stay together a little bit better and sustain maybe a little bit more damage. James actually recommended maybe trying this with foam, like craft foam. I think it would be really cool. So I've got it in the show notes. I have a link to his page on YouTube. So if you want to check it out, you can.
Some pretty cool stuff.
Yeah. And if you want to watch the video tutorial, see how he does it, I have that. He also has provided a digital tutorial. So if you don't want to listen to him talk, you could just look at his step-by-step instructions. And then I also have links for the 3 pages of the printouts, basically your blueprints for your ghost. And what's really cool is you can design this any way you want. And what I mean by that is it looks like a ghost, but you can paint it like any color you want, any type of ghost shell you would like. I think that this is really cool considering that pretty soon in the new expansion, we're going to be seeing new ghost shells.
Yeah.
So this might give you a little bit of an opportunity to come up with your own design. And who knows, if you tweet it to the Bondsmen or even to Bungie, they might even take that into consideration as a design.
Yeah, I would totally do that. I mean, Bungie loves the community, and they do take some of this kind of stuff in. So, I mean, you make something really super cool, it might show up in the game one day. Well, it may not necessarily in the game, but it might show up as a feature. So,
at the very least, it might show up during a weekly update or something like that.
We with a lot of games, especially MMOs, a lot of things that happen in the community are really embraced and carried through the years. Great example, if you guys play World of Warcraft, everyone knows Leroy Jenkins.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. So that right there is a huge part of the game and has become part of their new Hearthstone game. There's actually a card called Leroy Jenkins. It's pretty funny. So this is really cool, but, make sure that you give credit where credit is due. This guy really came up with every little bit of this and drew out all the little pieces. So good job, Cosplay Emerald. You did a great job. I'm actually going to try this with the craft foam if I can.
Nice.
Because craft foam's only like $1 at the craft store, It's pretty cheap, and you get a lot of it. And you can either print these out. It's like 8.5 by 11 prints, so regular printer. You can print them out on regular paper, cut them out, and then trace them onto whatever other material you want to try. But there are fold marks, so make sure it's a material that you can fold.
I think a thicker foam would be easy because you can just do like little V scores in it.
You can do scoring
to fold it. So
yeah, you could do scoring. I have, being a crafty person, I have all of the tools necessary for this. I have a scoring.
And you're welcome to borrow them. Just hit us. No,
stop it. No, actually, Amazon has them for pretty cheap. You can get scoring knives for really cheap on Amazon. They're only like a couple bucks, if that. But check it out. I would love to see your guys' designs if you come up with your own. You can tweet it at us. You can email it to us at the Bondsmen. What's our email?
tbmdestiny@gmail.com.
Thank you, Travis.
You're welcome.
But,
practicing my video review voice.
Broadcasting voice.
But Josh, did you have anything that you want to add for the community or anything like that or something?
I was gonna say I was looking at Emerald's his ghost that he actually has posted. It's like a red and white themed.
I believe that's the one that was the special edition for. Yeah, it was the special edition for PlayStation.
Yeah.
No, that's the collector's edition across the board.
Oh, collector's edition. My bad. Collector's
take a look at it. If you guys go to our website and you take a look at the show notes, take a look at it. It's badass. It's really nice. Like
it's pretty legit.
I was trying to picture it in my head as Ashley was explaining, and I went and looked at the picture, and I was like, "Holy crap! Yeah, that's badass. That's made out of paper. That's really cool."
Right. So we're going to be doing this every week, guys. So Ashley's going to be out there on the internets, out in the wilds of the world, trying to find cool things to talk about and share with everyone else. So if you have something you think is cool, make sure you tweet us on Twitter at the Bondsmen. Email it to us, tbmdestiny@gmail.com. Or if you want to hit up the Bondsmen individually, you can hit up James.
At My Beard Is On Fire. And I'm on Xbox Live at TBM Burn. That's TBM space Burn.
Miss Ashley can be hit up at
Monster Smash 13 on Instagram, on Twitter and on Xbox Live, but there is a space on Xbox Live between Monster and Smash.
And Mr. Josh?
You can find me on the Xbox still, no friends after all this time. And that's at YF.
Because you're never on the podcast.
I guess that's what it is. At YFSWAH, and on Twitter at SSJSWAH.
It's also because no one can ever remember how to spell your social media names.
Yeah. If you go on the Bondsmen and you click like followers, you'll find me. I'm for whatever reason, this is a total aside. I'm verified for whatever reason. It has to be a total mistake. So
That's cool.
Yeah. Nobody would ever
That's
verify
really
you.
cool.
It makes no sense.
Let's be fair, you're not that important.
You know, I'm not. I was on IMDb.
It's not that you're a bad person.
There's
you're not that
there's a couple of actors named Josh Butler, so I am assuming maybe that they mistaken them for me. So catch me while you can. Catch me while I'm still verified. They don't know yet.
All right, and in honor of Gjallarhorn being on sale for only the second time ever since Desi launched, we're going to read the Gjallarhorn Grimoire card.
Yeah, it's short and sweet. Gjallarhorn Grimoire. If there is beauty in destruction, why not also in its delivery? Faisal Crooks. The Gjallarhorn shoulder-mounted rocket system was forged from the armor of guardians who fell at the Twilight Gap. Gifted to the survivors of that terrible battle, the Gjallarhorn is seen as a symbol of honor and survival.